economic slowdown was felt even on high-altitude cranes, but workers kept up the spirit amid hope that 2013 will be a better year.
모든 국민들이 바라는 것은 경제가 좀 잘 돌아가고 좋아져서 서민들이나 일하는 사람들이 취직 걱정 없고 잘 살 수 있는 그런 나라를 좀 만들어줬으면 좋겠습니다.
The revival of the Ministry of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries has ports under preparation for business. To improve conditions around Busan Port, development is underway in hopes of increasing exports.
With that redevelopment project, we are going to provide Busan citizens with a beautiful waterfront area for their recreational activities. When it comes to economic side, we expect this project will generate 31 billions of US dollars of economic impact. At the same time, it will create 120,000 jobs. As a whole, this project will contribute to the national and local economy.
2013 is going to be a year of change. The global economy is going through a transition, continuing from the last few years after Western financial crisis and economic crisis. So we should expect more changes in 2013 and not yet the strong recovery. That will only come later.
James Rooney, the Seoul Financial Forum Vice Chairman, was one of the first to step in during Korea's financial crisis in 1998. He continues to work in Korea, and despite the fast-changing global situation, he remains positive about Korea's economic growth.
The service sector in Korea still has a lot of development potential, especially for tourism and related businesses. But there are still too many restrictions, and the government policy in the past has not focused very well on development of the service sector, instead focusing on the manufacturing sector and too much focus on the chaebol.
In a country where growth largely depends on conglomerates, Rooney says it is not easy for foreign CEOs, but nonetheless, he has provided a solution for Korean businesses.
Human talent is the heart of any country's economy, and the small and medium businesses represent more than 80%, even 85% of all the economy in Korea. These three elements, I think, are the most crucial for Korea's future success.
The type of leadership and the leader himself determines the happiness and the misfortunes of the people. What do the people expect from their new leader, President Park Geun-hye?
비정규직 없는 나라로 만들었으면 좋겠습니다.
학생들 취업에 많은 도움 주셨으면 좋겠어요.
취업 문제가 되게 심각한 편인데 좀 취업 문제도 잘 해결됐으면 좋겠어요.
According to last year's Ministry of Health and Welfare report, the new government's focus for its health and welfare policy should be in providing more jobs. Investments to Korea's top 4 conglomerates has reached maximum levels, but hiring by these companies has shrunk. The Park Geun-hye administration has put out a slogan, 70% employment, as the core of its job creation policy. The Park Geun-hye administration's focus is in employment rather than growth. This is because growth cannot come without employment.
청년들에게는 더 많은 기회의 문을 열어주시고 한창 일할 나이에 국민들이 안심하고 정년까지 일할 수 있도록 어려우시더라도 일자리를 지키기 위한 고통 분담에 적극 나서 주시기를 부탁드립니다.
It's a strategy for job creation, which is a new growth engine that will bring about a creative economy. The economic policy puts emphasis on creativity, imagination, science and technology.
The new government educatively set their policy goal for 70-70. 70 means employment ratio should be enhanced from the current 64% to 70%. That means the new government should make more jobs.
This type of policy change is expected to put more limit on companies while providing more job opportunities. 27-year-old Philip graduates from university this spring. He's preparing himself to find a job. The current job market is highly competitive and expects people to survive in such a tough environment. A lot of effort is being put into attaining high scores in awards and certificates, and Korea's young people are investing many hours upgrading their qualifications.
혼자서 준비할 때는 약간 글쓰기 같은 경우는 혼자 쓰면은 그냥 자기 생각에 갇히는 경우가 많은 것 같아요. 근데 다른 사람들이랑 스터디를 하게 되면은 제가 생각하지 못했던 저의 단점 같은 것도 볼 수 있고, 그래서 좀 더 발전할 수 있는 그런 가능성이 좀 더 많은 것 같아요.
Failure and frustration are a natural part of life as a person enters into society. The obstacle of social entry for young people these days seems too difficult to overcome.
점수도 많이 필요하고 면접도 진짜 깔끔하게 잘 봐야 돼.
면접까지 가는 게 문제.
그치? 면접까지 가는 게 문제인 것 같아.
왜 이렇게 빡세?
그러니까
면접이?
그냥 사람 댕댕이 이런 걸 보는 게 아니라 점수화된 걸로만 보니까 그게 좀 그런 것 같아.
Korea's young people are going through difficult times ahead of their debut.
제가 학교 다닐 때만 해도 취업 준비가 이렇게 힘들 줄은 몰랐는데 제가 졸업하고 나니까 더 경제 상황도 말이 아니고 또 사회적으로도 좀 적게 뽑는 추세니까 아무래도 준비하는 입장에서는 좀 많이 힘들죠.
지금은 항상 현재에 최선을 다하려고 노력하고 있는데 그 미래를 생각해 봤을 때는 지금 현실이 좀 답답하고 그런 것 같습니다.
After the study group, Philip heads somewhere. He's never stopped working since he entered university and even after graduating from school.
안녕. 오늘 뭐부터 해요?
오늘 설거지하고
네.
일단 주방에 가서 여기 옷 갈아입고 주방에 가서 설거지 좀 먼저 시작해.
네, 알겠습니다.
Tuition keeps increasing and this is becoming a burden. He needs to work to pay for the college tuition by working many hours a day, which is the only way to come closer to his dream of finding a job.
저희 집이 3남매거든요. 근데 동생도 대학 다니고 지금 누나는 대학원 다니고 있는데 부모님의 수입은 일정하잖아요. 근데 거기다가 제가 생활비까지 이렇게 받아서 쓰면은 좀 나이도 좀 있고 한데 좀 미안하기도 하고 그래서 제가 생활하는데 쓰는 돈 정도는 아르바이트 하면은 충분히 메꿀 수 있으니까 그래서 시작하게 됐어요.
Young people are taking their first step into society by juggling between study and making a living. It would be a great loss for the country and the society as a whole if the current young generation fail or delay their entry into society. There needs to be a consolidated effort by all generations to help the people in their 20s find jobs amid an economic crisis.
스펙 같은 걸로 평가하기보다는 열심히 잘하고 맞는 사람들이 있으면 뽑게 되고 또 학생 입장에서는 이게 내 적성에 안 맞는 일이구나 이런 생각도 가질 수 있게끔 어느 정도 그런 열려있는 그 인턴 같은 자리를 좀 많이 만들어 주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
Young people are headed into a long tunnel and they are working hard to come through it. Many spend hours studying late into the night at libraries. Support should be provided to them so they don't lose hope.
돈이나 이런 거 연연하지 말고 자기가 정말 흥미 있고 보람을 느낄 만한 일에 다들 취직해서 보람된 사회생활 시작했으면 좋겠어요.
The job creation policy helps the future generation of Korea. The new government plans to support community enterprises in order to create more jobs in line with the employment and welfare policy.
Enterprise development is the key for the job creation. So the new government should focus on the job creation first. So every policy should be funneled into the job creation.
A major task of Park's administration is to make the grassroots foundation of our economy sound and healthy through positive support for the small and medium enterprises.
Growth and distribution is the new economic paradigm the new government wants for the Korean society to realize. Backing this idea is economic democracy. How will economic democracy be pushed forward?
The economy should grow, and on the basis of the growth, the economic democratization will be realized. That means growth is the first policy goal, and then the economic democratization is the second goal. Growth and the economic democratization should go hand in hand to minimize the adverse impact of those two factors.
The Park Geun-hye administration's economic democracy chooses domestic demand over exports and small businesses over conglomerates. She has called herself the Small Business President, expressing her interest on this matter. The new government is expected to implement policies which protect small businesses from conglomerates and provide support that will enhance competitiveness and production.
중소기업은 아까 말씀하셨듯이 중견기업으로 또 중견기업은 대기업으로 성장할 수 있는 희망의 선순환 구조를 만들어야 우리 경제가 선진 경제로 도약할 수 있다고 생각합니다.
To create a healthy business environment, conglomerates should focus on their key sectors, while small businesses build a competitive edge.
Important issue is how to provide, how to encourage to develop their quality of part and materials enough to support, enough to provide to the world #1 manufacturer, the big companies. That's very important one. So through such policy, Korean small and medium scale industry or companies could be developed to the toward a small but strong company in the world.
Korea's small businesses have high expectations for the new administration. This company has a total workforce of 31 people. But when it comes to their technology, experts say they are far better than major Korean conglomerates. Last January, the company participated in the World Home Appliance Exhibition CES 2013, held in Las Vegas, where it received global attention. It's the first firm to commercialize large-scale capacitance method touchscreen drive controllers.
작은 면적에서는 이 RC 딜레이가 작기 때문에 구현이 가능한데요. 이제 대형 면적으로 갈수록 이 RC 딜레이가 커지기 때문에 일반 기술로는 구현하기 어려운 부분이 있습니다. 근데 저희는 그 부분을 이제 개선을 해가지고 지금 현재 이제 65인치 이상인데 구현을 할 수 있게 됐습니다.
It is the ultimate multi-touch that reacts to a person's fingertips at the same time to the fingertips of 10 people. Response speed is so fast, with the noise toned down, it is sensitive to the slightest touch.
속도를 좀 더 빨리 개선할 수 있는 방법이 있어요?
아무래도 제일 중요한 거는 저희 MCU가 클럭이 높아지는 게 좀 더 빨라지는 비결 중에 하나가 될 것 같고요.
사람이 이제 필기하는 데 있어서 이제 보통 눕히다 보면은 한 3파이짜리 하면 실제 잡는 면적이 한 1.5파이 정도 된다고 하거든요.
일단 동작성을 좀 더 부드럽게 할 수 있는 그런 세밀함을 좀 가져갔으면 하는 생각이었거든요.
Previous governments focused mostly on conglomerates. This caused many restrictions for small businesses.
기존 중소기업 정책 중에서 특정 분야에만 국한되거나 집중되어 있던 정책을 좀 더 많은 폭넓은 분야로 넓혀야 된다고 생각하는데요. IT 기반의 중소기업들 또 기술을 기반으로 하는 기업들을 많이 정책적으로 지원해 줘야 된다고 생각합니다.
The new government will need to combine existing industries with scientific technology and information communication technology. This will provide incentives for small businesses.
대기업들이 중소기업과 상생하려는 모습, 노력들이 조금씩 실제로 체감되고 있고요. 그로 인해서 새 정부가 중소기업 대통령을 자처하는 모습은 굉장히 여러모로 상징적 효과가 있다, 이렇게 생각합니다.
The biggest problem for small businesses is getting the right workforce. They are suffering from labor shortages because many avoid working in provincial areas. The Taedok Science Town in Daejeon is no exception.
사람들이 다 대기업에 취직을 하려고 하는데 충분히 중소기업만의 가치가 있다고 저는 생각을 합니다. 많이 배워가지고 이 회사랑 같이 컸으면 그게 제 꿈이죠.
One solution to this problem is the collaboration between school and industry. This way, companies can receive workforces to do their research while the schools nurture qualified laborers.
점점 더 수도권이나 서울 지역으로 옮겨가려고 하는 경향이 더 심해지는 것 같습니다. 그런 의미에서 기술력을 갖춘 지방에 있는 중소기업들을 육성하고 그 기업들을 지원하는 데 좀 힘을 좀 기울여야 되지 않냐, 이렇게 보고 있습니다.
Korea's children are the future of the nation. How do the innocent children perceive Korea's new president?
우리나라 대통령이 누군지 알아요?
몰라요.
대통령이 누군지 아세요?
네.
누구예요?
박근혜 대통령.
The children's wish is to live in a happy and bright nation.
지구가 뜨겁지 않게 해주세요. 사람들한테 쓰레기를 버리지 말라고 얘기해줬으면 좋겠어. 돈이 없는 사람들이랑 아픈 사람들을 돈을 지원해줬으면 좋겠어요. 우리나라 사람들의 꿈을 다 이뤄줬으면 좋겠어요.
We can expect a nation where the Korean children can grow up healthy, happy, and proud. Prices of consumer goods are increasing by the day. The Korean people are feeling the burden. Ordinary people are interested in how their lives will change, depending on the government policies of the new administration. Many wish their lives will improve, let alone an era of national happiness. This kind of expectation is also on the mind of homemakers.
저희 아이는 좀 또 많이 하는 편이니까 인터넷에 공구라고 있어요. 공동 구매하는 거. 그래서 거기서 최고 싼 거를 찾아서 이제 저는 그래서 항상 구매를 하죠.
The monthly expense for a family of 3 is almost $1,900 US. The family relies on a one-person income, the husband who works, so there is no way of saving money. People are feeling the burden of public service fees going up in time with the new year. The consumer index fluctuation is pushing working-class people to the brinks.
난방비가 참 많이 나왔고요. 전기랑 하수도 요금도 조금씩 올랐던 것 같아요. 저희 신랑 월급은 그대로인데 물가가 비싸지니까 그게 좀 원인인 것 같고요.
A homemaker of 3 years, Hee-ju, goes to the market once a week. She chooses to go to the traditional markets because it's cheaper than shopping at supermarkets. Merchants get ready to welcome customers with lots of energy.
하루 국거리 세일하고 있습니다. 야, 세계 5차 작품 사라 천원씩 꿀사과 셀날 한 개가 천원. 이게는 22,000원.
꽤 비싸요.
하우스 제품이에요. 요새 기름값 비싸죠? 네. 전기요금 비싸죠? 근데 딴 데보다는 상당히 쌉니다, 여기가 지금.
But during the cold winter season, produce prices went up and people's sentiments began to freeze, many forced to cut back on food.
좀 과일 같은 경우는 너무 비싸니까 외식도 예전에는 그래도 일주일에 한 3번 하면 지금 일주일에 한 번 이 정도로 바꾸고 하니까 아무래도 먹는 거에 대해서는 아기한테만 많이 투자를 하고 저희는 조금 참는 편이죠. 네.
Consumer spending started shrinking amid skyrocketing prices on goods. The effects were felt by small traders.
손님들이 물가에 굉장히 민감하시기 때문에 뭐 10,000원 쓰실 거 5,000원 쓰시려고 하시고 뭐 하나 사실 그러니까 2개 사실 거 하나 사시려고 하시고
저희는 크게 나니까 한 10% 정도 매출이 떨어졌다고 보시면 될 것 같고요. 일 매출이 한 5만 원 정도 이상 떨어졌다 이렇게 보시면 될 것 같고요.
During the past 5 years, conglomerates expanded into local districts due to government policies which favored conglomerates. As big companies flourished, small merchants suffered.
합정동에 굉장히 큰 대형마트가 지금 입점을 할 예정이어서 이제 뭐 경기도 안 좋지만 실적 부담이 굉장히 좀 큰 편입니다. 또 서울시에서 상권 분석을 한 결과 영업이익가 한 66.8%가 줄어든다라고 지금 예측을 하거든요. 그래서 굉장히 좀 힘든 상황이 진행이 될 거라고 생각합니다.
Small traders in Korea amount to some 7 million, but small traders are not being protected within Korea's economic structure. An estimated $9.2 billion will be used as part of the Small Traders Promotional Fund by 2017 under the Park Geun-hye administration's plan to help small traders. The plan calls for providing business capital from the Small Traders Promotional Fund. The fund will add $925 million every year to reach $4.6 billion in 5 years.
우리 인생의 그 어떤 바로미터인 우리 소상공인 여러분들의 삶의 질이 높아지도록 이렇게 하는 것이 큰 과제다 이렇게 마음에 새기고 있습니다.
President Park Geun-hye is proposing a win-win policy under an economic system that helps both small traders and consumers. People are putting their trust in the new government, which promises to support small traders through its fund.
감사합니다. 내 행복을 누려가면서 살 수 있는 그런 나라를 만들어 주시는 것이 옳지 않나. 그리고 그런 나라를 저희 자식들의 세대에게도 물려주고 싶은 것이 그거 꼭 부탁드리고 싶습니다.
Free childcare, free meals, free medical service, and half-price tuition. All these issues are what the Korean people are asking the government as part of their welfare. The Park Geun-hye administration is focusing on welfare policies that will make people happy.
장애인 등급을 폐지하고 장애인 관련법을 새로 권익 중심으로 새로 개정을 추진하고 있습니다. 그 다음에 여성들에 대한 어떤 사회적인 진출을 위해서 여러 가지 보완적인 어떤 서비스들을 다 새로 제공하는 걸 그렇게 되어 있습니다. 그리고 노인들에 대해서 노인들이 그들의 어떤 일자리 이런 것도 상당히 강조를 하고 있습니다.
Angel Gurria, Secretary General of the OECD, has pointed to one factor posing a threat to Korean society, that being senior poverty.
That means the young, of which there's double the unemployment. That means the women, that means the elderly. The elderly in Korea have the highest risk of being poor. In the whole of the OECD, in all the OECD countries, the elderly in Korea have the highest risk of being poor because of the labor market practices.
Today, 1 out of 10 people are over 65 years old. According to Statistics Korea, by 2025, 1 out of 4 will be seniors, making Korea a super-age society. Therefore, the new government plans to tackle problems with the pension system. The new administration is showing signs of pushing forward its welfare policy.
일평생 가족을 위해서 헌신하신 우리 어르신들께 안정된 노후를 보장해 드리는 것은 국가의 당연한 책무라고 생각합니다.
The free childcare policy is attracting the most attention out of the new administration's welfare policies. Children up to 5 years old are entitled for childcare funding by the government. Korea has entered an era where the government is taking the responsibility of raising and caring for young children. Free childcare by the government is expected to take away the financial burden for the average family and help decrease consumer prices. The policy is also expected to solve the problem of low birth rates.
어린이집에서 방과 후 교육을 해요. 그런 교육은 이제 자비로 하는 거거든요. 네. 그런 교육도 좀 무상으로 해주시면 아이가 꿈을 키울 수 있는데 큰 도움이 되지 않을까 생각합니다.
Multicultural families have reached the 1 million mark. They are all Korean nationals, but have difficulty fitting into Korean society because they look different on the outside. Koreans need to accept the changes, with less emphasis on one's ethnicity and living together in harmony. Another welfare policy President Park Geun-hye is focused on is the multicultural policy. Jasmine Lee is the first woman from a multicultural marriage to become a congresswoman. She is one of many who expect new multicultural policies by the new administration.
So that will be like 50,000 plus a year, the multicultural sector. So we're actually looking forward that for 10 years we'll have about a million, about maybe 2 more percent. I think that will be 5% of the population will be from the multicultural sector.
Making multicultural friends and having multicultural neighbors is not a far-fetched reality. It's something that's happening right now. But the traditional, strong sense of unity as a single ethnicity is becoming a value that does not help improve the prejudice against multicultural families.
Multicultural families live the same way as ordinary families here in Korea. They have the difficulty, or the difference is they have a difficulty in communication, which you don't have with an ordinary Korean couple. Their biggest concern is their children, which is actually the same wherever you will go, whether you're from an international marriage or from an ordinary marriage.
The new administration is holding a strong position to help multicultural families. First, counseling will be provided for those who have suffered from marriage brokers. Second, instructors will be sent to help multicultural families and helplines will be set up. Finally, multicultural families who have stayed in the country for more than 5 years will be introduced to mentor new families.
We actually have to have an independent agency who's actually going to work to better the awareness, to better the perception of people regarding multiculturalism, and also to educate people. This will actually also head start an education program for the people to learn more about multiculturalism and to be able to accept it as a way of life or as a part of the country.
Foreign workers entering Korea in search of the Korean dream are increasing by the year. Foreign workers now reach 1 million. What do they expect from Korea?
I've been here for around 2 weeks. Probably the main thing was the language. But I like how everything is organized and it's very difficult to get lost. So everything is very organized and I think that has been a huge help to settle down.
I want Mrs. Park, the incoming president of Korea, to make the issue of immigration, taxes and business very easy for foreigners in Korea.
This is a venture company located in Seoul. The company specializes in software development and targets the world market. Canadian Rosalyn is in charge of overseas marketing. She has the dream of traveling around the world as an expert in global marketing, and Korea has provided such an opportunity.
I have many good reasons why I'm here and why I have been here for almost 2 years. I love the actual work that I do. I find it stimulating and challenging, and as a marketing professional, I find it to be exactly where I want to be in my field.
Rosalyn went through tough times when she first came to this foreign place, facing difficulties with weather conditions, the language and the culture. She missed her home and family, but every time her colleagues gave her strength and support. It's been 3 years, and now her colleagues are like family.
For sure.
If that doesn't work, we can just all go to Norway. She's a really hard worker, and she stays late to get things done and have meetings with people in Europe and US. We work well together because we both want to get the best thing done.
That evening, Rosalyn met up with her friends, most of whom are foreigners who are working at a Korean company and who have settled down in Korea.
Hi, I'm Becca, Yvette.
They gather at a Korean restaurant, since food is the best way to learn about a country. They have all adjusted to life in Korea, Korean style, but all this didn't happen easily, and life in Korea at first was tough. Korean society was not welcoming, and sometimes they were treated unequally because they were foreigners.
I think people struggle with is in a job situation, if you have something illegal, you know, like money or, you know, something really that is a bad situation, you don't know who can help you sometimes, yeah.
As a foreigner living in Korea, I think it would be really great to have some kind of human resources department for foreigner teachers living in Korea. So some way that we can make reports about a difficult situation in Korea.
Foreigners who live in Korea hope that the new government will embrace foreigners. The Ordu Mountain Unification Observatory is located far north of the Western Front Line. Visitors from all over the world come to see for themselves the only divided nation on Earth. Visitors regret the fact that they cannot visit North Korea, a place right in front of them.
これだけ近いのになんであんなになんていうか生活とか文化の差が生まれてしまったのか、同じ民族なのにすごく残念に思います。
It's really sad to see the people being so close and in the same time being so far away from each other. So we just can hope that something can happen for a better future for the North Korean people.
On February 12th, North Korea went ahead with its third nuclear test, 13 days ahead of Korea's government transition. What is the reason behind North Korea's nuclear test during the transitional period amid strong international restrictions?
Definitely all foreign media, including even Chinese media, has expressed very negative feeling toward the North Korean nuclear test. And of course, somebody argued for that. Maybe it is not possible to solve North Korean nuclear problems with diplomatic negotiation. There are some differences across the countries, but actually all condemned North Korea's nuclear test. I think there's a bottom line.
President Park Geun-hye acted swiftly, showing the will to react effectively towards the fast-changing situation surrounding the Korean peninsula.
3차 핵실험을 강행한 것은 정말 국제사회, 세계를 적으로 돌리겠다는 의미고 스스로 고립을 더 낮춰주는 것밖에는 안 된다고 생각을 합니다.
Power nations were put on edge with the news of North Korea's nuclear test. The UN Security Council is also in discussion for new restrictions on the North.
I encourage the Security Council to act with unity and to take appropriate measures as soon as possible.
It seems that the issue of nuclear disarmament on the Korean peninsula lies in the hands of the Korean government, despite international pressure on the North.
I think that she is trying to bring all the concerned parties together, especially to improve the relations with China, while maintaining or strengthening our relations with the United States. So she will try to bring these two giants together and then work together.
Residents of Haemaruchon, located in the civilian control line, are the most anxious whenever there is a North Korean provocation. Many villagers are first or second generation people who were born here or returned to their parents' birthplace after the war.
한 동네에서 피란 나갔으니까 피란 나갔다가 들어왔으니까 온 주민들이 다 그냥 무슨 가족 같아.
The residents are put into a state of isolation whenever there is a provocation from North Korea. They still have vivid memories from the Yeonpyeongdo attack by North Korea 3 years ago.
연평도 건도 있고 저희들 대표해라 하면 저들 대표합니다. 해서 해제하면 나오고 좀 그런 것이 좀 딴 지역하고 좀 다르죠. 예. 그 들어가서 이제 가서 있을 때도 답답한 마음도 그게 딴 말로는 다른 것이 그거 있지 않겠나 봅니다.
Pang Ne-eun came to this place after the Korean War 50 years ago. The reason he chose to live in one of Korea's most dangerous places is because he wanted to be close to his birthplace.
52년도인가 찍어본 거 같은데.
이게 옛날 우리 결혼 사진이에요, 이게.
He came to South Korea during the war, got married and had children, but he still yearns for the place across the military demarcation line where his parents might still be alive. He is unable to leave the village for this reason, despite the dangers.
고향을 이제 가볼까? 이거이 내 소원이야. 소원은 통일인데 나는 고향 가는 게 소원이야.
Contrary to some people's hope for unification, North Korea conducted its third nuclear test on February 12th. Right after the UN Security Council resolution on North Korea last January, the North came out with a statement that revealed plans for a nuclear test.
우리가 진행할 높은 수준의 핵시험도 우리민의 철천지 원수인 미국을 겨냥하게 된다는 것을 숨기지 않는다.
The six-party talk framework needs to be re-evaluated in line with the North Korean nuclear issue. The new administration has come up with two plans: rebuilding trust and progress in nuclear disarmament.
핵을 포기하려고 할 때만이 북한의 협상력이 높아질 것입니다.
The new government has shown concern over the recent North Korean nuclear test, but it hopes to implement the Korean Peninsula trust-building process. Once that happens and progress is made in the North's nuclear disarmament, the government plans for a large-scale economic collaboration project with North Korea by involving the international community.
Under the circumstances that North Korea tested another nuclear weapon, I think simply the President Park Geun-hye cannot carry on without thinking of the aftermath of the nuclear test. But in any case, Park Geun-hye will carry on basically her confidence building measures, in other words, trust politics, flexibly in return to the behavior of North Korea.
The policy surrounding Northeast Asia is expected to face turmoil amid changes in governments among power nations. The new government here hopes to build a strategic partnership with the administrations of the US and China.
We have to, cooperate, harmonize, and stabilize the relationship with the great powers, all together, putting all together. And then we can play a kind of bridging role, coordinating role, mediating role, based upon the issues. So we need to be much more, sophisticated and then also where, the coordinate in our, foreign policy strategies.
새 정부에서는 일단 서민들 중심으로 정책을 좀 잘 만들어서 그것이 저희의 그 원하는 방향대로 좀 진행이 될 수 있도록 해주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
돈 걱정 크게 없이 대학교 무사히 공부 열심히 이렇게 졸업했으면 좋겠습니다. 반값 등록금이 실현돼서.
회사가 잘 되고 또 우리 가족들이 건강하게 행복하게 잘 살았으면 좋겠습니다.
각 대통령, 새로운 그 대통령께서 더 잘하시려 여성분이기 때문에 집안 살림하듯이 꼼꼼하게 잘 해주실 거라 믿습니다. 그래서 좀 희망을 걸고 있습니다.
The new government has 5 years to build a future 10, 20, 30 years from now. The best way to prepare for the future is to build a future in the present. To create a future, one must build the foundation for the next generation. The Park Geun-hye administration is gearing up to build the foundation that will last a long period of time. Hopes are high for the new leadership that will push Korea forward.
저는 대한민국의 대통령으로서 국민 여러분의 뜻에 부응하여 경제 부흥과 국민 행복, 문화 융성을 이뤄낼 것입니다. 부강하고 국민 모두가 함께 행복한 대한민국을 만드는데 저의 모든 것을 바치겠습니다.
Next.